If somebody want to make a motion to waive Robert's rules?
I make a motion we...
Going to waive Robert's rules.
I make a motion we waive Robert's rules.
Second.
Just so everybody knows, please try to keep it down. We don't want anybody talking. If you're going to come up and talk, we're going to go to the podium. Everybody will get their chance to say whatever they want to say, but we're going to do it at the podium. Don't talk amongst yourselves, and please shut off your phones if you've got them on, so we don't get interrupted here. This is going to be long enough as it is. Oh, we're leaving the TV on up there because people at home are watching it on 99.
I'm going to shut it down, but I just want people to see. People in their condos are now watching this live.
Okay,
So
it is on. Okay, so YouTube is working.
It's a delay.
It's delayed. It's delayed.
No, it isn't.
Okay. Okay, I've got some correspondence that I'm going to read.
Do you want to go around first and...
Yeah.
What was that, Dan?
You want to go around first and ask if anybody has anything to say?
Yeah, I got a couple, I just got one quick thing.
Go ahead, Bob. We'll go around. If you got something to go on, we could do that.
I just have one thing. I know Pam put in the sort of board of directors for the candidates, by Monday, January 22nd, that's your intent to run. You have to have that in there since there's a lot of people here. I'm sure we're going to get a lot of candidates. And the other thing is that, just to reiterate what Pam said, is they have put in a resume, it's got to be 30 days prior to the meeting, or 35 days prior to the meeting. So my calculations came up to, I think, January 17th for the resume, and January 22nd for the intent, and I believe they mail it out 30 days after that. So out of the second notice that we do have. That's basically, I just want to reiterate it, like there's a lot of people here, and all you can put in for it, it's a very enlightening job. It puts 10 years on your life. Because I've been involved in it for 12 years, and right now is my last year, and I think Ron is, I can't speak for anybody else.
Mine last year.
But anyway, come forward. There's a lot of good people out there. You always hear the negative, but there's a lot of positive in there, okay? People wanted to hang me from the flagpole sometimes, but I had some people that were fine. But you have to expect that, and you can't take anything too personally because you'll go crazy. But that's what I wanted to say. Pam, thank you. I just want to reiterate on that. Thank you.
Do you want to do roll call?
Yes, let's do a roll
Oh, I
call.
got to repeat myself again?
No,
Oh,
no,
okay.
you didn't.
Go
Joe,
ahead. Roll call, Diane.
Bob,
Here.
Keith,
here.
Ron,
Here.
Pam,
Here.
Peggy,
Here.
Diane McIntyre here. And I just have one comment.
Okay.
I'd like to say that... Oh my gosh, I'm
You
using
guys-
my
you guys-
outside
you
voice.
got to be right on top of it, Diane.
I'm using my outside voice. Okay, closer to the mic. Okay. You can hear me now. I've fallen and I can't get up. Okay. No, what I really want to say is Monterey is 52 years old, going on 53. We've had multiple boards over the years. We've had multiple property managers over the years. Mistakes have been made in these past 52 years, but we've continued to go on. I wanted to just make a couple more comments. We're not perfect. We never claim to be perfect. And I'm just wondering if there's anybody in the audience who in their professional life never made a mistake. And if there is, could you just raise your hand?
Let all those hands go up. Oh, my God.
No comments, please.
Okay. And the reason I'm asking is I wanted to meet a perfect person before I died. Now, I'd like everyone to feel comfortable to come up to the podium, speak your piece, and at the end of this meeting, I'm hoping we can go away as a community that is caring and compassionate.
Anybody else on the board? No? I'm going to read the correspondence. Dear Grace, encloses a check for $380 due on July 1st for my condo, Building 28, Unit H assessment. Tell the board they did a fantastic job with this huge insurance increase. The way it was handled it was the right thing to do. Rita O'Connell. That was written in June.
Can you repeat that a couple times?
Okay. This one is from Bill McIntyre, KMC Board President. Over the last few years, there has been a significant change in the number of MYCC full-time residents that stay here all year long versus those that still go home during the summer months. Consequently, there are more serious issues and concerns for that matters and repairs that happen here at MYCC in the summer months. I'm therefore officially requesting that this topic be formally addressed at the KMC Board of Directors. Although the board's thoughts, concerns, and recommendations may certainly vary, it is my feeling that this topic should be on the high priority list for 2023 and 24 board discussions. Although I have not yet taken a full-blown survey of summer residents, I have listened to many of them over the last few years who have shared this concern. I will list a few of these comments, and it's my hope that we'll look into them as a serious concern and therefore discussed by the Board of Directors in future resolutions. At a minimum, 6 monthly board meetings should be held during the summer months. It was discussed that because of the importance of all the Board of Director members be here year-round residents. However, the common tools that are available today, Zoom, most residents discussing this topic feel the monthly meetings can easily be held online. Therefore, future Board of Director members won't be restricted by a full-time resident requirement. Many other issues have been discussed, workloads, costs, formal activities, all of which could be added to this formal request. However, it is not our or my current request to be involved in any of the decisions, but merely to request the KMC Board of Directors put this issue down as an agenda item and discuss it at their earliest convenience. Thank you, Bill McIntyre. Okay, this is a letter from the attorney. Dear board members, the purpose of this letter is to provide you with my input on an issue of a director receiving compensation from King Mountain Condominium Association Incorporated for painting services. My input is based on the following understanding. So just so everybody knows, Pam and I went to the attorney, and this is what he came out, what we told him, basically. Then he's got his response on the back. One of the associates directly received compensation from the association in return for painting mailboxes and sidewalks in the community, hereafter referred to as the transaction. The amount of compensation was between $9,000 and $12,000. The transaction was not approved by the Board of Directors, but certain directors of the board were aware of it and authorized payment. The transaction was not approved in accordance with Chapter 617, 718 of the Florida statutes. To the best of your knowledge, the amount paid for services was not unreasonable. To the best of your knowledge, the director did not receive any other compensation from the association. To the best of your knowledge, you are not aware of any other director receiving compensation from the association. The director is no longer receiving compensation from the association. The transaction has been terminated. To the best of your knowledge, the transaction was not entered into in bad faith, and there was no self-dealing or unjust enrichment. This is his conclusion. Okay, in my opinion, the transaction was improper because it was not approved in accordance with Chapter 617 and 718 of the Florida statutes. In addition, arguably violates the association's bylaws, which state no compensation shall be paid to any member of the Board of Directors at any time. For these reasons, I recommend that you immediately terminate the transaction. It is my understanding that this has already been terminated. The board must also determine how to address the compensation paid to date. As stated above, it is my understanding that, number one, the amount of compensation was not unreasonable for the services provided. Number two, the transaction was not entered into in bad faith. Number three, there was no self-dealing or unjust enrichment. If this is correct, I do not believe any further action is warranted to recoup the money paid to the director. The amount, hang on a minute, let me go over there. The amount was paid was reasonable for the services provided, so there have been no monetary damage to the association. In addition, the cost of pursuing legal action will be substantial. The association would need to engage in legal counsel to pursue the claim. Also, if the claim was made against the director or directors, they would likely be covered by the association's insurance policies. This would result in a claim against the association's insurance policies. By way of example, I represented another association that filed a claim against a former director for a similar type of issue. The legal fees associated with the claim far exceed the amount in controversy. Also, the association's insurers provided coverage for the former director, which resulted in a claim against the association's insurance policy. The cost of pursuing the claim has been substantial. In conclusion, I recommend the board terminate the transaction, which has already been done. I do not believe any further action is required by the board of directors. However, you may want to consider adopting a policy or resolution addressing directors' compensation. This may assist in making the current and future directors more familiar with the requirements of Florida statutes and bylaws, and hopefully prevent the same issue from reoccurring. Please let this letter also confirm that the board of directors cannot remove a director from the board. A director can only be removed by a recall vote by the owners. I hope this letter addresses your questions. If you have any further questions, please do not hesitate to contact me. Sincerely, Jacob Enzer. That's the attorney. This is from Jason Lee, Building 13D. Inappropriate use of corporate funds of the association. Dear Mr. Longo, it has come to my attention that a member of the board of directors has submitted for payment invoice request to the board for services rendered and has received payment for the same. Pursuant to the amended and restated bylaws of King Mountain Condominium Association, Article 5, Section 8, no fee or other compensation shall be paid to any member of the board at any time. Additionally, pursuant to the amended and restated bylaws of King Mountain Condominium Association Incorporated, Article 6, Section 4, the treasurer shall be responsible disbursement of funds of the association as may be ordered by the board of directors and shall render to the president of the directors at the regular meetings of the board or whenever they may require an account of all transactions as treasurer. It is not clear where the segregation of duties may have failed. Kindly provide documented evidence refuting or supporting the above. In the event the above is factual, it is reasonable to expect removal of the involved members from the board of directors by written agreement pursuant to the amended and restated bylaws of King Mountain Condominium Association, Article 5, Section 9. Thank you for your prompt attention in this request. Jason Lee. Hang on one second, I got to get a drink. Okay, this is from Rose Calisi. Ron, hope all is well with you and Donna. I'm looking forward to being in Monterey this winter and seeing both of you. I'm reaching out to you with something that I'm concerned about. It was recently brought to my attention that a board member was paid to do work at Monterey. It was also brought to my attention that our bylaws don't allow board members to be paid. Since Monterey has always made an effort to enforce all regulations and bylaws, I feel that if we make an exception to one rule, we'll have a problem enforcing all the others. I'm not sure what can be done about this, but I think it should be looked into by the board. Since I will not be there in October board meeting, I'm asking if you will convey my concerns to others. Thanks, Ron, for all your hard work. I'm not going to get into that because I don't care about that. Rose Calisi. This is from Gail Kraus. I hope the content within this email I just received telling me, so for some reason there was an email going out there, so I don't know where it came from, but people are getting emails and sending me emails. I hope the content within this email I just received telling me a board member has been paid $11,000 to paint our mailboxes is wrong. Board members should not be paid for anything. I think it's against the bylaws. How did this happen? I think the money paid to the board member should be refunded to Monterey MYCC and both the board member and the other person that signed. I'm not going to get names. I don't like to get names or anything else. Should be removed from the board for violation of bylaws. No related people should ever be allowed to be on the board at one time. It opens up the door for collusion and embezzlement. I can't believe the remaining board members in management. Okay. I can't believe that the remaining board members in management allowed this to happen. What do they intend to do to correct this and make sure that it doesn't happen again? That's Gail Kraus. P.S. I like the board member. She's a nice person and a hard worker. She has done many wonderful things for MYCC and have been greatly appreciated by all who live at MYCC. But she shouldn't be paid for what she does. Okay. Okay. This is from Judy Roberts. Hi, Ron. Question for you. How much have you gotten paid over the years for all the countless hours you have put in making Monterey look good? I'm guessing, please. Okay. I'm guessing the answer is that you weren't paid for that and you did it as a volunteer, especially since the bylaws say no fee or other compensation shall be paid to any member of the board at any time. I'm sure you can guess the word has gotten around that a board member has been compensated for painting and work to be over the tune of $10,000. This just doesn't feel right, and in my opinion, needs to be paid back immediately. Unless I found a member that states otherwise, there shouldn't have been any compensation for this work done by a board member. With the state of our finances making it necessary to raise the monthly maintenance plus assessments, we cannot afford to be paying out over $10K. Shouldn't the board member and the manager have known that the bylaws well enough to know that this is not allowed? If they did, then the board member needs to step down. It's just disheartening to know things can be happening behind our backs and behind the backs of the rest of the board. Thanks for listening. I'm hoping that this topic of discussion that has already happened and the action is already in motion. Okay. Okay. Let me finish everything, and then we can, if you want to clap or whatever you want to do. This, for some reason, this was forwarded to. Let me make sure I got the right one here. Yeah, somebody received this email and then responded to it. Okay, Ron, I received this email. I'm not sure if you know what's going on by two of our board members. The board member has been paid $11,000 to paint mailboxes and sidewalks. I don't know if the maintenance men are paid that much, but I do know board members cannot be compensated for their work. It's in a violation of Section 8 of our bylaws. The check was signed by the member's brother-in-law, the board treasurer and bookkeeper. This is not ethical and wrong on several levels. Violation of Section 8 of the bylaws. Many people, including board members over the years, have given so much of their time and talents because they love MYCC. They don't want anything but to improve their home. They have not been compensated, and a board member should not be able to be on the board to profit for gain. A board member should be transparent and trustworthy. Any job over $5,000 should be bid out. The job certainly is clearly over $5,000, especially if our maintenance men have been paid to work on their off time. And the board member has been paid $11,000. Family members should not sit on the board. If that was the case, this may have been caught sooner. If you agree with this, please email Ron Longo. So somebody sent that out. Okay, so this is from Mary Ann Cornett. Here's how she responded. Personally, in my opinion, one or both of the board members should be removed from the board and the money should be returned. If they do not know the bylaws, how can they make decisions that are not in the best interest of the community, that are in the best interest of the community? Was this amount of money made known to the board and the work that was involved? I realize these things need to be done. I don't know, maybe it was cheaper to have a resident do it rather than have a contractor, but it's a little sticky, if at all, the way it transpired. Thank you for doing a wonderful job, blah, blah, blah. Okay, Mary Ann Cornett. That was for me. This is from Sam Mondello. Another drink, please.
What's in that drink?
Ron, I agree with many people, I agree with many people regarding a board member being paid and painting mailboxes and painting the sidewalks. She, being a board member, a board of director over 6 months, should have known that this is in the bylaws and should have been responsible to pay the money. Let me see, I missed it. It should have been followed. It is the responsibility of all board of directors to know that what our bylaws say. I believe that she should be responsible to pay the money back and to resign as a board of director. Transparency to the board members and Monterey community must be followed, and we have the right to know how this happened. She should be held responsible for not following and knowing our bylaws of our community, Sam Mondello. Okay, this next one is from Joe Barata, or Joe and Joni Barata. Ron, I understand that members of our board have violated our trust and compensated a board member for work that she did around the complex to be the tune of $11,000. This is completely unacceptable and calls for her to be removed from the board immediately. This is all broken down, so I'm just reading it off the email. From the board immediately. We at Monterey take pride in residing at our great place. Many of us do things at our own expense and time, and we do not ask for any compensation at all. The fact that a board member acted in this way is not only unethical, it's illegal. Our operating costs are rising rapidly without incident like this. What are we going to be billed for next? Attending a board meeting? We need to take action. This is thick, but it's just stating the bylaws in there, so I'm just going to read. This is from Ann Christmas. Ron, the bylaws are abundantly clear that the board member should not have been compensated for any work she did. I strongly believe that she needs to reimburse us for the total amount received and a meeting convened to determine if she shall remain on the board. I believe that and I'm not going to mention names, needs to abstain from any vote. I spoke about this in last winter, where board members who are related should be on the board. This would constitute a conflict of interest. Please keep me updated on this status. Thanks for all you do, Ann. This is from Victor Browse. With regards to a board member being paid for painting sidewalks on the first floor of buildings and walkways, this is totally unacceptable. As a board of director member of Monterey Yacht and Country Club, this action cannot be tolerated. As a board member, it is her responsibility to know the bylaws which state Article 5, Section 8, no fee or other compensation shall be paid to any member of the board of directors at any time. Because of this bylaw, I would recommend the board member return the money paid to her and resign from the board of directors. I have been told that the treasurer is signing checks for his sister-in-law. This is extremely unethical and very poor business practice. This practice, not saying this is the case, could lead to fraudulent use of funds. If you have any questions or concerns in this matter, please contact me, Victor Browse. And I believe I got one more there. I got two more. Let me make sure I didn't miss any. Yeah, Victor Browse. Okay, this is from Camille Yomis. I think I'm pronouncing that right. Hi, Ron. Hope all is well with you and Don. And Russ and I are doing fine. We are continuing in Monterey, blah, blah, blah. Okay, I'm going to get into the thing. I emailed regarding a matter that I was made aware of, stating that a board member was paid monies for performing work at NYCC. We would like to go on the record that we oppose this occurrence and would like an investigation and a decision on how to proceed with this matter. Thank you for your time. Hope to see you guys soon. Blah, blah, blah. Russ and Camille Yomis. And that's it. That's what I got. Let's go to the board first. If anybody's got any comments on the board, hang on a second.
I just have a couple of things. Okay, there were statements made and so forth like that, but I think hopefully everybody's going to put in for the board of directors. Okay, it's an easy job, but anyway, I'm not going to go there. Number one, the board of directors is stated in there. People were saying that the board can remove a director. That's not true. Okay, that's definitely not true. The only thing the board can do, they can remove an officer by 5/7 of the board. They can remove the president, vice president, treasurer, secretary. That's it, by 5/7. All right? As far as the relationship only states that a husband and wife cannot run for the board of directors unless if there's not enough people to run for the board. That's a false statement. That's true. They cannot run a husband and wife. As far as any other relatives, there's no Florida state statute, no bylaw statute, no anything, to the best of my knowledge, that does that. And as far as money being returned, it's not up to the board of directors to ask for the money back. The only way I'll leave it at that. Okay. Those are all factual statements. I'm sure a lot of people didn't know that, but before you say something to something, make sure you know what you're saying, per se, because with false general knowledge. I mean, it's very time-consuming and so forth. But I just wanted to reiterate some of those things. That's all.
I have a comment. I have a comment. Everyone here had an opportunity to vote for the people on the board. There was never a comment or a concern about relatives or relatives by marriage being on the board. So it's unfortunate that it's come up now.
There's nothing in our bylaws that say that can't happen. The only thing is husband and wife can't serve on the board, but they can serve on the board if there's openings that there's nobody running for those. So we got 3 positions, there's only 2 people running. The member, the wife can also run on the board. Okay. Does anybody else have anything before? I just want to say one thing before we open up.
No, I'm going to make some comments. I'm going to see if there's any other people who want to talk about the thing before I make comments.
Okay.
Thank you.
I just wanted to say one thing. Before this even goes out, I just want to let everybody know. We were left Bob, myself, were left right out of the loop. Chuck only knew that she was painting. They had no idea that anybody was getting paid for it, okay, from what I understand, okay? But I'm going to let them speak for themselves. When I found out about this on September 14th, okay, I pulled the financials, and on September 17th, I wrote a letter to the board, and that's when everything was in the process of being stopped, and it got stopped after that, okay, after we contacted the attorney. Just so everybody knows. So, I mean, but I'm going to let Bob and Chuck speak for themselves. I mean,
Yeah.
I'm just,
Well, I'm not here it's not a trial or anything, but like I say, for what it's worth, I know nothing about what was going on. Ron and I were both out of the state, but that's here or there. So we just want to just make that statement, just because, you know, if a mistake was made and so forth, we don't want to really, you know, like I say, I found out from when Ron sent the thing out about somebody being paid, then we investigated that, and then it was completely stopped at that time, correct? Everything was
Correct,
stopped
yeah.
as soon as we
Within a
found
day
out
or so,
about
it was corrected, yeah.
Yeah, I'll go ahead and make a comment. I'm year-round here, I ride around all the time and do stuff, and a lot of people talk to me and stuff, and they've seen the board member doing a bunch of painting and everything. They asked me if they were getting paid, and I said, I don't think so. They volunteer in here all the time, so I don't see why they would switch off and start getting paid for it. And then more and more people kept asking me about it, so I ended up and went to the board member and asked her about it. And she said, yeah, she was definitely getting paid for it. And I asked her who was signing checks, and she told me who was signing checks. So that's when I had to go back and tell people that were asking me questions what was going on in here, and that's what I did. I didn't want to be transparent. People asked questions for me. I'm going to get them answers. If I don't know answers, I went and found them out. But I had no clue that she was getting paid, because she did. She volunteers 40 hours a week in here. So I had no clue she was going to stop doing that and start getting paid for doing painting and stuff in here. So that's how most of this went out to the community.
Chuck did contact me after he found out, but I had already known about it because I had pulled the financials, so just so everybody knows that. Anybody else on the board? No?
Ron, can I speak?
You sure can. Step right up to the podium.
Can you make it up?
The microphone is there too, Jimmy.
You're gonna make the poor guy walk up there, he can hardly walk.
Good morning, everybody. My name's Jim Mitchell. A lot of you know me. I live in 28A. I'm not here to address the board. I'm here to address you people. I want to talk first about the incident happened, and he apologized for what happened, and the board accepted his apology. Now, please, can I finish? I want to talk about Chris. Chris has been with us for 18 years or more. He's been good. He's done so many projects for people far and beyond. I see Chris a lot. I see Chris doing stuff out on the course and out on the street, doing things for people. And I just can't say enough good things about Chris. And that's what we have to remember. The good things that Chris did. That's part one. Chris is just, to me, he's one of my good friends. I can't say enough. I could probably go on and on. But all I can do, I can praise him on and on. That's the first part of what I want to say. The second part, I want to talk about what happened. $11,000 was paid out. Chris, as I said, apologized for it. But I want to say about, I want to talk about Peg. Peg has done so much work around here. She works 7 days a week. She works with the landscaping. Her sister works, and her brother-in-law. They're always working 7 days, and I see them 7 days a week. They're always working. And I saw Peg doing the mailboxes in 90-degree heat. She would scrape them down, and she would sand them. And she put a first coat on, and then she put a second coat on. The mailbox job itself, to get that done outside, would have been an amazing cost. And then doing the sidewalk, she did the sidewalks. Peg has never stopped being loyal to this community. She's an asset to this community. And we have to remember that. We have to learn to forgive. If we don't forgive around here, my God, what kind of a community are we going to have around here? I'm been here over 10 years, and I hate to see this happen. This is eating me up, seeing what's happened. We should all remember the good things and not tear into something that happened that was to me, it was a mistake, and he apologized for it. I want to praise both our manager and our Peg and her brother. Look, let me say one more thing. Peg's sister and her brother-in-law put these signs, these new address signs up. And these address signs, I saw Keith going down to the workshop, cutting out all the boards, and then bringing them home, and they had to be sanded, and they had to be painted, and then they had to be put up. It was a lot of work involved in that. I think a lot of people here don't realize how much these people do for us. They're an asset to our community, and I'm proud to say they're my friends.
Thank you, Billy.
Get your cane.
Come right up if you want, yep. I don't see anybody else raising their hand out there, so.
Can I make a comment on that?
Here we go.
Jim, I appreciate everything you said, and most of the people agree with it, but this is not about Chris. This is not about Chris at all.
To me, it is.
Well, to a lot of people, it's not. It's not about Chris. The board member's supposed to know the bylaws, okay? So it's not about Chris. Chris has done a great job here for 18 years. It's too bad this had to happen.
To err is human, to forgive is divine.
Thank you.
You're right, Jim. Hang on one second. I'm just going to reiterate on that. Chris is our employee, okay? Just so everybody knows. He's the employee here. We're his boss. He reports to me directly and to the board indirectly, okay? So we're responsible. It stops at the board, not at any one person, at this board. We're responsible for what goes on in here. We're supposed to know the bylaws, the statutes, the rules and regulations, just so everybody knows that. Go ahead, Kim.
Hi, I live in 8A. My name is Kim Sinceri-Berger, and I have to say, I did see Peggy painting the mailboxes and sweating, but she was also being paid for that job, okay? Board members can't be paid, bottom line. So I'd like to read you my letter. It's a little lengthy, but I really thought it out, researched it, tried to dig the facts because I didn't want to go on gossip. Because I think that's really, really contagious and nasty, and the facts are the facts. And you can't dispute them. If I have the facts wrong, I apologize to Peggy, I apologize to the board. But I have gone and looked at the ledgers, I have read the statutes, I have talked to Chris, I have talked to Ron. So I'm going to give you my perception, you can have yours, we can agree to disagree, but at the end of the day, we have to live here, and we want to come here and like each other. You don't want to have to come here every year and say, oh, I don't want to come here, there's so much tension, because everybody's going to leave. Because is that how you want to live the end of your years? I don't. So, bear with me, this is lengthy, okay, because I wanted to get everything in. This board is the first to send me an Instagram if I do something wrong. So board members should be held to the same standards. I apologize for the length of this letter, but it has many layers to it and many questions, which I will give the board the questions that they can answer, okay? And we can be very transparent and open to have a discussion. I saw Peggy painting the mailbox, and I was curious if she was being paid, because painting those mailboxes is not an easy job. She would be red, she'd be sweating, it'd be rusty. I agree, she worked very hard. But she agreed to do those mailboxes at a compensation of $300 each. Okay? Then I wondered if she could be paid as a board member in the state of Florida. Because I knew in other states, you're not allowed. I used to be a property manager for 10 years. So I looked up the Florida statute and our bylaws that states board members cannot be compensated. During the nightly walks, I saw Chuck Parks and asked him if Peggy was being paid for painting the mailboxes. He said he didn't know. Honestly, Peggy's been outside doing work for years. She works very hard. I'm not going to discount that. But a lot of people work very hard. I don't discount what anybody does. but that is a choice, okay? She evidently enjoys it. You know, if you're going to get out there and plant plants, you must like plants. I'm not going to get out there and plant plants. Okay. A little while after that, my mother's sidewalk was going to be painted. Peggy was at the building next door, orchestrating it. Mom lives in building 41. Sorry, Mom, I'm throwing you under the bus. And the lawn service was about to arrive. The walkway was still wet from a heavy rain, so I asked Peggy why not delay the painting until after the men were done mowing the lawn and the concrete was dry. She replied, I have it under control. As predicted, the sidewalk bubbled due to the moisture, and the grass clippings were painted too. Feel free to walk by building 41, Unit A. Fast forward to the September monthly managers meeting. At that meeting, I addressed this with Chris, and he said that when the whole job was done, they would walk around and repair what was needed. That is on the manager meeting video. You may watch the film. Keep that sentence in mind. When the whole project is completed, we will address it. This is going to come back up. The same day, Peggy came by my mom's apartment, which I was extremely grateful for. She was going to touch up the paint, and I thanked her for it. And at that time, she saw the bubbles. However, I told her it could not be painted because it was still moist and it had to dry and be sanded before painting. She agreed with me. I took my finger at the bubble, lifted it up, and the paint peeled back like wallpaper. Okay. She said, truly, this is above my pay grade. She said she would send one of the guys back because it was too big a job for her. And it is a big job. I will agree with that. It has still not been sanded or repainted. This was the incident that sent the red flag up to me. So then I saw Chuck on a daily walk and I asked him if he could find out if she was being compensated because our New York bylaws stated that a board member cannot be compensated and she appeared to be acting as a contractor in charge. Non-board members, please remind us, because a lot of people do things here. Non-board members can be compensated. Board members cannot. When you become a board member, that is out of the picture. Now please, don't say it was a mistake. Every board member is aware of the HOA bylaws. Florida Chapter 718, Section 112, 218 states, within 90 days after being elected or appointed to the board, each director shall certify in writing to the secretary of the association that he or she has read the association declarations of the companies, articles of incorporation, bylaws, and current written rules and policies, that he or she will work to uphold such documents and the policies to the best of their ability, and that he or she will fully discharge his fiduciary responsibility to the association members within 90 days after being elected or appointed to the board. In lieu of such certification, the newly elected or appointed director may submit a certificate having satisfactorily completed the educational curriculum administered by the division, and it goes on. You can look it up. But the bottom line is no fee of Section 8 or other compensation can be paid to the board. Every board member has to be aware with this, 90 days of completion. So I didn't know is not an excuse. I made a mistake is not an excuse. If you don't know, you look it up. If I have it, if I'm not sure of something, I go look it up. This does not discount the hard work. Shortly after the managers meeting, Chuck sought out the answer to my question and informed me that Peggy was paid and she was as a board member. I texted, and I was the person who called and emailed a few people to inform them because I just really needed a sounding board. I was like, how is this being done? I personally felt that people needed to know. Thank you, Chuck, for being a board member who realizes that you have an obligation and duty to the owners and responsibility to act with the highest degree of good faith by placing our interest above your own personal interest. He could have avoided my persistence when I continued to ask him. He could have not wanted to make waves. Thank you, Ron and Bob, for staying with Chuck and for hearing me out and doing the research when I was so frustrated that Chuck, who lives here on the property full-time, was not informed at any time by any of the board members on the property that Peggy was being compensated. After sharing the information about the board member being paid, I received a call from a resident saying Peggy was paid very little because she had to pay people and pay for supplies. So now we're acting as a contractor. I truly believe the person who was trying to diffuse the situation for Peggy believes that Peggy was being very truthful. I actually thought, then, could I be wrong? And I emailed on this person's request, I may have been wrong, and assuming she was paid. So, more research, more digging, because I'm not going to throw something in the box. Once I received that call, I started thinking, what if I'm wrong? So that led me to add more questions and investigating more by reviewing statutes, contacting the president, as I said, for information, reviewing the ledger in Chris's office, and talking to Chris. However, I have lots of unanswered questions, which I'm going to deliver you that list as a board, and we can answer and address. It really doesn't matter. Chris works for the board, and the board member should never put him in a position of asking to be paid for the job. If Chris asked her, she should have said as a board member, knowingly, because she had to read bylaws, that I cannot be compensated. We have paid $11,000, and my totals have gone to the ledgers, and my numbers may be a little off, and you all can correct me. We have paid $11,872 to Peggy thus far for sidewalks, mailboxes, and canopies. I think because all of her ledger entries are vague. We paid West $3,750 and Jimmy $3,750 to pay the sidewalks. There was only one invoice for Sid to pay a sidewalk. I don't know if there are pending invoices or not. I didn't ask that question. Most of the checks she was paid were under $3,000. Mind you, if a job is $5,000, it has to be bid out. Okay, so my mind was there a reason for this? This job was to pay 51 sidewalks. Writing small checks to individuals does not negate the fact that this would have been a $12,750 job in labor. $250 times 51 sidewalks is $12,750. It should have been bid out and voted on as an entire board. Painting sidewalks is painting sidewalks, and we painted 51 sidewalks. Chris told me yesterday that each building was a separate entity, so it did not have to be bid out. That's great. Each building was considered one painting job. That would be okay. I can accept that if go back to the managers meeting, the statement said, when the whole job is done, they would walk around and repair what was needed. Now I have to ask the question, was this a one building project or a 51 building project? If when the entire job is done, we're going to repair it. If it's an individual, we're going to repair them individually. A board member wrote me and said that Chris apologized at the meeting, and this was over and I should let it go. Initially, I was going to, but this is wrong on too many levels. Chris works for the board, and Peggy, the board member, accepted compensation as a contractor, and other board members signed those checks and the treasurer. And there are people not informed. To accept is to teach, and this is not okay. There are questions that still need answered. I'm almost done, guys. I took the time to review the ledger, and this is the part I really don't understand about the ledger. Why is the same check number posted twice for Peggy with two different amounts? I've heard this from the different accounts, except one check is written, but there are two separate line items. For example, check 447 is written for $1,050. But the ledger states check 447 is for $300, and another check for 447 is for $750, which totals $1,050. Both ledger items are taken from the same account, AP 3319.
No.
That's,
Just to correct you,
Am I
one of them
wrong
was
on that?
taken out of the painting reserves, the other one was taken outside infrastructure.
okay. Then I apologize for that, but next to it on the one I was looking for, it said AP 3319. And why is some taking for out of infrastructure and why taking out of painting? I'm not sure on that. You guys can clarify that. Why are the descriptions so vague? Other listings are not vague. A bookkeeper can only list what is on an invoice. West, James, and Sid's ledgers would say, for example, West painted building 4, 6, and 7. And he was paid for that amount. The ledger for Peggy says sidewalk painting does not say what sidewalk, what mailbox, what canopy. It does not state how many signs. There's nothing that's specific. It's like this open-ended. Then people have said that Peggy deserves to be paid because she does a lot. Many people do a lot. People work endlessly around here. Did we see anyone, did we even ask anyone if they wanted to volunteer? Everyone knows no one got paid for painting the fountain, the buildings, building the fountain where people came together, creating walkways, doing the memorial park, planting plants, making balances, painting the weight room, painting the poker room, building benches, building golf boxes, redoing the library, redoing the room, redoing the kitchen, and I could go on. You know what everybody's done around here. We've lived here long enough to see. Some of us have grown older, we can't do as much anymore. Some people do more, and then people come in and do more. Again, residents can do things, and they're permitted to be paid, but they're not on the board. Note, an employee, resident, or contract cannot be gifted or paid as a board member for services done or work. Finally, I've been directly told that this entire situation is because Chuck has a vendetta against Peggy. Yes. I have been told this. Chuck Hart had nothing to do with this. It was me asking the question to Chuck. Chuck, everybody, I'm to blame. I asked the questions, he gave me the answers. Thank you, Chuck, for being diligent and finding out. Chuck did his job as a board member and got the answers to my questions, and that's a board member's job. It's to answer to us. Okay? Being a board member should not be about who campaigns the best. It should not be a popularity contest. It should not be about electing people it should be about electing people who are doing the right thing. Everyone has a different definition of a right thing. Getting information as a homeowner should not mean you have to belong to the right group or know the right people. Our members should be approachable and fair to everyone. It shouldn't be known who knows who. Running for the board is a choice. If you don't want to abide by the rules, don't be on the board. If we accept what has occurred, what is next? This cannot be swept under the rug. Chris, I appreciate your apologies so much, and you have done a ton around here. I agree with you, 100%. He has had years of service, and we thank you for that. However, Chris, you work for the board, and if Peggy asked you to take over this job, Peggy should have said, Chris, as a board member, I cannot be compensated. If you ask Peggy, which has been said, you asked Peggy, that's out there too. Chris, Peggy should have said, I'm a board member and I cannot be compensated. Clearly, Peggy should not have asked to be paid to pay, and I have been told that too. So Peggy can answer those questions because, only she really knows and Chris knows. And Chris, I specifically asked yesterday and he did tell me that Peggy asked to be paid to pay. Okay?
If she could be.
If she could be, which she could not be. Okay. The state statute states as follows: an officer, director, or manager may not solicit, Peggy asked to be paid, offer or accept anything of service or value which consideration has not been provided for his or her benefit. And you can go on and you can look up that statute yourself, because it goes on and on. It's number 6170832. Okay. In closing, I want to be transparent and say I did not vote for Peggy, and I do not have a vendetta against her. I don't have any opinions. But I did not feel like, even though the state says family members could be on the board, that they should. I think it's a real conflict of interest, and that was my personal opinion. That is not a state statute. A treasurer signing checks to a family just leaves the door open, and we can tell that by the evidence. If she did not know if she could do this job, she should have found out. And she clearly knew that it was okay. Being on the board is a huge responsibility, and in the past we're going to have a lot of problems. We have to ask the community on the board, how did this happen? Did friendships get in the way? I certainly did not want to open up Pandora's box by asking this one simple question. But we should not live in a house divided, nor should we have secrets with the community. This is our home, and our board members should be able to uphold to the highest integrity their duties as board members. P.S. Sorry, Mom, who didn't want me to say anything about this, or research it, or do any of it. She asked me to stay out of it. So if you're no longer her friend, you never will anyhow. Also, I'm sorry to Building 8, who may never get their Christmas tree palms now and suffer retaliation. I got back from a trip, and I was really upset in 2016, and this sounds really petty, but this is, in 2016, my sister and I, before she died, planted a pineapple. I got back, and that pineapple was removed. Is that retaliation?
Thank you, Ben.
Here are my questions for the board, and you can you apply to them any way you want, if you want.
Thank you, Kim.
There you go. Here we get to it.
Peggy, you still have stuff. Don't you think, Peggy? We just go over all that other stuff. We'll make a meeting for next Tuesday or Thursday and just go over all the, because this is,
Hey, Ron.
go ahead, Diane.
Okay, hi. Diane Parks, 45D. Hope you can understand me, because I had trouble understanding Kim a little bit. Can everybody understand me? Okay. One, Jim Mitchell, I love you with all my heart, but one thing you said that I have to disagree with, there was an apology made. I never heard an apology. The only one I heard from was Chris. I never heard from the board member that was in conflict. So that's all I'm going to say about that. Okay. I'm looking at 7 board members that I personally voted for. I voted for every one of you sitting up here. I must say, I'm very disappointed in 4 of you. You said the situation was just a mistake. Yes, it was a mistake, and not one of you have come up with a solution to fix it. Let me give you some information on how to fix a situation that's gone wrong. First of all, make the board member return the funds, but I'm finding out that's not possible, that she illegally obtained. Then she needs to resign, since I do not know how anyone here could trust her in the future. This board member knows every rule and regulation known to man in this community, and I've heard them from her She's quoted them to me before. I find it hard to believe she did not know she was doing something against our bylaws. Since our manager works for us, the other 3 board members should have investigated this further and not depended on him saying it was okay. Not even an apology has been given by her. I also feel our treasurer should resign. As treasurer, were you aware she was getting paid before you signed a check? He is a family member, and how can we trust his judgment with our finances if he did not even know the bylaws? If this board member does not resign, the way the board can handle this is they have a recall vote by the community, and I hope you all put that out to the community since they voted for you all in the first place. This needs to be resolved in order for our community to go forward without all this dissension. I have so many wonderful friends here in this community, and it is hard for me to get up here to speak on this issue without worrying about losing friends. But when it comes to what is right and what is wrong, I have to stand up for what I believe. Thank you all for listening.
Go ahead, Lorraine. Come on up.
My name is Lorraine Danielle. I live in 44F. I was a board member for 8 years. And I'm telling you, I am so sad to be up here today to hear what I'm hearing. I am going to lose a lot of friends. I am sure. I am positive. But I have to say what I have to say. We all make mistakes. Even our attorney, thank you, Ron, for reading that letter. I understand how people can feel because the board member was paid, but it was a mistake. We all make mistakes. We're not perfect. And our manager, oh my God, our manager is leaving on a bad note, and that upsets me terribly. I have worked for this community for 17 years, and I worked very closely with Chris, and I feel I worked very closely with all the board members. But even I forgot what some of the rules were after 8 years. We all forget a little. All I can say is I am so sorry we have reached this point as a community. Let's forgive and move on. We need to be a great community. And I want to thank Chris for his 18 years of dedication to this community. Take a look at our property. We are so proud of it. I am shaking up here because I am terribly upset about what has happened. So I'm asking all of us, please, let's move on and continue the work that needs to be done for this community. Thank you.
Good morning, everyone. Judy Roberts, 17G. You did hear my email that Ron read earlier, so I'm sure you're understanding what my opinion is. All I want to say is no, none of us are perfect, and I know Diane asked that question to begin with. None of us are perfect. But the difference, I believe, is if we find out that we've done something wrong, make it right. Admit the wrong and make it right. That's the part that I believe is missing in this whole thing. I don't think we would have to be here today. I don't think we'd have to be spending all this time. I don't think there'd have to be all this turmoil. And I'm so sad because we're so new to the community and we have fell in love with this community. It's not feeling like the community we moved to last year at all, and it makes me very, very sad. Thank you.
Hello. I share your thoughts, exactly. I've been in this community a lot more than a year, and I share her thoughts. I'll tell you what saddens me is that somehow we've let innuendo and we've let things like Keith, for example, is a board member who's allowed to be a board member, who is an elected board member, and somehow we now want to suspect that, oh, Keith didn't do things above board. There's something fishy about, well, where the hell did that come from? And how did that innuendo and rumor get started? Because I think that's wrong. Keith is on this board because he complies with the rules and he can be on the board, and he writes checks as a treasurer. And if Keith has something to hide, lightning would strike me. Tremendous guy, and I think his reputation getting smeared is crap. Peggy O'Keefe has volunteered around this community doing all sorts of things for years and years and years. I can't say enough good things about what Peggy O'Keefe has done. But that's not what we're here about. We're here because Peggy, in my knowledge, was asked by management if she would supervise a project here on Saturdays and Sundays when there's not supervision, and just get it done. Because we power washed our buildings and we have nobody to paint the sidewalks. Peggy, can you get that done? Okay, I'll get that done. Peggy got compensated along with the people that were doing the painting work just as she was doing. And this figure of $11,000 that got really everybody's attention, how much of that went to pay for the paint? How much of that went to pay for Wes? How much of that went to pay for the... Peggy O'Keefe didn't walk away with $11,000 in her pocket. Peggy O'Keefe handled a project for our manager. Am I correct with that, Chris?
Not exactly.
Then let's clear it up. But I guess what all I wanted to say is to smear somebody's reputation that they've somehow been dishonest, two people on this board, it's just not right, and that damage is hard to undo. And that's not who we want to be. Thank you.
Peg was not specifically asked to handle the job for me, okay? I never went to Peg and said, will you handle taking over this? So that's the only part that Jerry just said that wasn't exactly right. That's it.
So the fact that the $11,000.
Oh, no, the $11,000.
No, that's wrong.
Absolutely not.
It
was
to paint.
reimbursement for paint. It's probably, if people looked up the ledger, it's reimbursement for sod, for mulch, for plants that she purchases on her own, and she gets reimbursed.
So the sensational figure that was thrown out there of Peggy O'Keefe was paid $11,000 to do this has little basis in the reality, correct?
Ron, would you like to answer that?
Yeah, I'll answer it. I knew that was coming up. Okay, the total amount that was paid out, that was written in checks, was $11,872 and change. The reimbursement for supplies, according to the invoices that I got and broken down, was $2,748. The amount that Peggy received was $9,124 and change. Okay? That's exact. Okay? And I got the invoices, and we can go through the invoices. I got it all broke down. This is something that I've been going through since September. It is what it is. I mean, if I had known about this in the beginning, if somebody had called me, or even Bob McCosey, we wouldn't be here today. Okay? Plain and simple. We were left totally out of the loop. Go ahead, Wally.
Hi. Talking about checks, I didn't mean to bring this up, but that's what you've been talking about. My question would be, why was a board member that was here passed over for signing checks where a non-board member was brought in to sign checks?
Can't answer that question.
Number one.
I don't know.
I can't answer without knowing
No.
what check and what date.
I have a statement first and then two questions. My statement is that I've been here for 12, 13 years, and Monterey has always been supported by volunteers. I, for one, have volunteered, and we got this clubhouse and the yacht club painted several years ago. We didn't get paid for it or reimbursed. My question is this, and there's more, the majority of the board members have been here long enough that knows that this community is supported by volunteers. Why wasn't this project brought up to the board, maybe to you, Mr. President, and asked a committee to be formed to paint the sidewalks? We're not talking about an engineering project here.
I can't answer that question. I was
Okay.
left out of the loop.
Number two question that I have, if I can remember it. Having a senior moment. I resume.
You want me to come up with a question for you?
Oh, no, my second question is this. When I was on the board, we raised the amount of money that Chris was permitted to spend without coming to the board to $5,000. Now, yeah, you can sit back and say, well, it's one sidewalk here, one side. The bottom line is everyone's talking $11,000. Why was that not sent out for bids? I'm not questioning the dollar amount that it costs.
You were directing that at me?
No, I'm just, in general.
I can't answer it. I was left out of the loop.
Okay. Bottom line,
Bottom line.
another issue. You're the president of the board and you were left out of the loop. That's a shame. Thank you.
I'd like to make a comment on this.
Go ahead.
Everybody's talking about 9,000, 11,000. The total amount of the jobs being done with the mailboxes, the sidewalks, everything, came to almost $20,000. That is a little bit more than the $5,000 required to put out the bids, okay? And like I say, if Ron would have known that from the beginning, he would have been finding out why it wasn't put out for bids. Another thing is the mailboxes, all the mailboxes. There was a gentleman last year before, I think Ron left, that actually talked to Ron about doing the mailboxes. He actually did some sample work on the mailboxes to see how it was going to go. He was going to volunteer to do those mailboxes, is what I was told. Is that true or not?
He came to me, he was doing sampling on the mailboxes, I know that. That's all I know. You know, I mean, he was checking it, and I called him, and he said he would finish the mailboxes up if we wanted to do that, as long as we weren't in any rush.
Thank you.
Hello, everyone. My name is Tracy Belluardo. I bought a year and a half ago in Building 5. I really don't even know what's going on today. It's my first meeting. But from a complete, outside perspective, it sounds like we need some control checks. And if whoever's not happy with what happened, vote them out at the next meeting. Sounds like we have some people who are interested in being on the board, then run, people will vote, and things will change. But I think we need to move on. So my question, I bought, my HOA fees were $449, now they're $801 starting January. I don't know the answer, full disclosure, no idea about Florida insurance laws, never lived in a community that had HOA fees, I don't know what Philippines about condo association bylaws, so I know nothing, and I'm completely transparent on that. But I have a question, actually a suggestion. Can we form a committee to investigate alternatives to the current insurance issue here that we're facing and the whole state is facing? I've heard some things about self-insurance. I know nothing about it. but I think it's worth exploring. There's a lot of bright people in this room. I am here 3 weeks out of the year, but I'm happy to participate remotely. That's if I don't sell my unit, by the way. So anyway, my suggestion is, can we form a committee to look at current or alternate insurance solutions?
Yeah, go ahead.
But probably the best thing is, next Friday, the 17th, our insurance agent, Damian McFadden from USI Insurance, will be here to do a town hall meeting. Okay, 10:30 on the 17th. That's gonna be the best time for y'all to ask him questions.
Did everybody
Is that
get
going to be
10?
Zoom? Because I'm back in New Jersey then.
Yeah, I'm sure we can do that.
We could do that.
Yeah.
10:30 on November 17th, he'll be here.
Just have to check our schedules.
Okay.
This
Yeah,
is new
17th.
information to me. Chris Davis isn't even.
10:30 on the 17th, it'll be on
That's all right.
1099.
We'll do what we gotta do, you know. If we can do it, we can do it.
I'm taking Artie to the airport that night.
10:30, it'll be on 99.
10:30 on the 17th. Go ahead, Jen.
John McGee, 51B. I'm going on 22 years now. I've never seen anything like this in 22 years. This is absolute chaos. Perhaps if we wouldn't be here if we paid attention to the budget a little bit more. Paint in the mailbox, is that a critical item that should be on the budget? Or paint the sidewalks? Maybe they shouldn't be.
Well, I mean, that's something that's done on a periodic basis. Every 5 years, 6 years, we do the sidewalks. Mailboxes have never been done, but, I mean, they're a mess.
Yeah, but everything that's going on
Yeah.
between the insurances and everybody's,
Yeah.
HOA is going up. I mean, is that something that's, I mean, could we put it off another couple of years and
Too late now.
and delayed it somewhere? But anyway, that's my point.
After the fact, but I mean, yeah.
All right,
Yeah.
the other thing I want to know is, or just make a statement, we rely on the board to do the proper spending. Remember one thing, that's not your money. That's my money, and that's their money. So we want you guys to squeeze every cent out of a nickel that you can. Appreciate it. Thank you.
Thank you, John.
John, I just wanted to say, it's my money too.
Absolutely.
And we actually look at it, when we do the budget, we look very, very closely at every single item and say, do we have to do this? Should we do this? Oh, I'm sorry.
You gotta be right on top of it, Diane. Yeah, I think so.
What I said
You're
to
right.
John is that it's my money too.
There you go.
And as a board member, we look at that budget line by line, penny by penny, and I don't think we could have got another penny out of it.
Just to reiterate what Diane is saying, as I said at the last meeting, I'm going to say it again and again while I'm still on the board, they've had budget meetings, not counting the board members or the committee members, 5 people showed up on the first one. Out of the 5, I think 2 of them, or possibly 3, were prior board members. So you got 2 people out there. The next one, which is critical too, the budget committee, there was 2 people at the board. Out of this whole community, 2 people, okay?
We work.
They are publicized. You got a whole thing ahead of you.
That argument holds no water. I'm
Oh,
sorry.
come on. If you don't have the energy to come up to the meetings at that, please. It's notified, I've had the invitation here, they've been notified numerous times.
Many of us work. I work.
Well, I'm not gonna get an
I live here
argument with you,
12
but-
months a year,
Easy, calm down a little.
okay? I'm tired of hearing that argument.
Okay,
There's a distinct lack of due diligence on the part of our board as far as budget. Raising salaries, a new part-time golf employee. When I moved here, my HOA was $526. Now it's going to be $902.
You're absolutely right.
I know inflation is big and insurance was gone up, but that's almost a 100% increase in 2 years. I moved here on July 29th of 2021, okay? Also, if you actually look at the budget that they presented, it is illegal according to the state of Florida. It was hand-delivered to my apartment. It must be sent via mail or... You don't put things under people's doormat where the wind's blowing 45 miles an
You know
hour.
what? We try to save the community money by doing that.
Oh, yeah, by breaking the law. What if one of these people here want to sue us? We all have to pay it. It's all our money. I have a lack of confidence right now. How many of you have a lot of confidence in how we're being run right now?
Enough.
Anybody, give me a show of hands. Clap.
Let me tell you something, this budget is scrutinized, just like everybody said. If you want to get on the board, you can be involved in the board, in the budget process, okay? Simple as that. Simple as that. That's all. Get on the board and do the job here.
We voted for you to do the job for us.
Here's the thing, you know what? You get on the board or come to the budget meetings and see what happens.
Right.
Okay?
I can't come to the budget meetings, I work.
I don't want to hear excuses, okay? Come to the budget meetings. If you can't, make time to come to the budget meeting. I don't care if you're working.
You all know Mike Snyder, right?
Yeah, okay.
Right? He's working right now. He's been here over 20-something years. And he's going to take another day's work. And I know other people that are taking work and having to work part-time to pay for their HOA
You
fees.
do realize that everybody in this place is in the same boat?
No, we're not on the same boat. I have nowhere else to go.
Maybe people
This
got
is the
money.
only place I have to live. I don't have a house up north.
Enough. I mean, if you want, come to the budget meetings, that's all I can tell you. If you
Hey, look,
can't
just
come,
for
that's not our
argument's sake, I got a guy that's been on board 12 years, guy 8 years, and we're gone. So there's an opening for you and anybody in this place. All these people working, how many people in here are working? Everyone is here. So there.
Enough.
That's it, go ahead. Enough! Yeah.
Enough. Go ahead, Ann.
I'm Ann Shuck, 5C.
Tired of this shit.
Oh, excuse me. I know you were talking about volunteers. You were talking about volunteers. And I know, I for myself would volunteer to do anything. I saw Peggy out there doing the mailboxes and et cetera, and I thought, gee, why don't somebody ask me? If you don't know that something's being done, you can't volunteer for it.
Understand that.
Yeah.
Yes.
So that's all I have to say.
Okay, thank you very much.
My name is Brad Cairns, a little too close. I live in 33E. Is this budget solid, or will it change at all?
If it changes and goes down, it won't go down by much, believe me. We can only nickel and dime stuff. There's not much we can take out of it. Keith and a previous treasurer, which is Jim Hensel, have been going over it. And we may be able to get some of it knocked out of there, we don't know, but Jim didn't have all the figures yet, so they're still going through the budget.
Okay.
Could change, yes.
Then I would like an explanation on the page where it says administration expense, salaries. 2023 projected year end to 2024 proposed budget is up 62+%. Can you explain why that's up that much?
2 managers for 4 months. But I've cut that out, so you don't have to worry about it. They can save some money.
So this will be revised.
Yeah, well, next year, that'll come off of there. We got secretary being paid twice, and we got the manager being paid twice right now, because we're gonna have 2 of them here. That'll get cut off out of the budget next year totally.
I was of the understanding Chris was leaving in January.
Well, it'll get cut off then. Whenever he leaves, that'll be cut off.
So this will get
If
revised.
he leaves tomorrow, it'll be cut off.
Okay.
Just a little change of subject.
Yes.
Talk around Monterey, and I'd like to present it to the board, maybe put it on the agenda or bring it up for discussion. With all the expenses, the 62% and the 100%, would it be possible to suspend an assessment for Pond 3? I'm hearing $700,000. Does it really need to be addressed at this time? Maybe we could save it for the next generation?
As it stands right now, I'm not on board for doing Pond 3 this year. I think it should be addressed next year, and maybe the following year after that. You're looking at probably, the 2 tours are probably looking at least $1,200 to $1,400, okay? And we don't need to do that right now.
That's what I wanted to hear, thank you.
Well, I mean, that's my opinion. I mean, I'm not for doing it.
I got an opinion on that also, Wally. I've heard from a lot of people in here, and the pond is going to be anywhere from $650,000 to $700,000. That's going to be almost $1,400 for assessment. I'm going to make a motion that we table the pond for at least 1 year and then see what happens at the end of that year. I'm going to make that motion so it'll be voted on by the board.
Thank you.
I'm hoping it'll go that way.
Thank you.
I'm Ralph Stiano, Building 39. I just have one comment. I agree we should move on. But what I don't understand is why our property manager did not know these rules. He knows every other rule in this whole complex, but he didn't know that rule. That's what I have to say.
He may have known the statute, I can answer some of it. He may have known the statute, but I'm going to tell you, this is not Chris's deal. Like I said in the beginning, the board runs this place, not Chris. He responds to us, what we do. We're supposed to know the bylaws, and I'm saying all of us, not just one of us. All of us are supposed to know the bylaws. It's not his duty to know what's going on as far as that goes. We should know what's going on. He reports to us and nobody else, okay? The board. He's the employee. Why are we going and asking the employee whether it's okay or not? No, but all I'm saying is, why are we asking the employee? Why would you ask the employee? If you have to ask the employee, why don't you look it up and find out what the rule is? That's all I can tell you. I mean, it's plain and simple. I'm not saying that he shouldn't have. I'm not saying that he shouldn't have, but you want to know something? Before we even go and ask him, we should know the rule. We should know the bylaw. We should know the statute. We should know the rules and regulations.
Dominic Sane, 28I. I think this self-insurance should really be looked into. When you just take a look at the past 2 years, the insurance has jumped up almost $2 million.
Can I cut you off? This is something that we can't do. I'm going to let Jim just reiterate on it, but this is something, it's already been looked into. We would have to come up with like $10 million. I mean, I don't know how we're going to special assess that, but, you know, I mean, in order to even address the issue. That's the problem. I mean, it's been looked into. We're looking into a lot of different things. I've got a guy looking into insurance right now. I don't think he's going to be able to change anything because a different broker, but they deal with the same companies throughout Florida. A lot of these companies are leaving Florida. Go ahead, Jim. I'm sorry, Jim. Go ahead. Grab the mic there, Jim.
Yeah.
Talk to people.
Come on, Mr.
You already stole one of my points. The other point is, if you self-insure, you not only have to come up with 20% of your net worth, you're responsible for Citizens. If Citizens runs a deficit some year, guess where they get the money? They assess all the self-insureds and the insurance companies. I don't know how much of our budget is because on the insurance, Citizens ran a big loss on that hurricane last year the same way that the insurance companies did, and I'm sure that's part of it. You don't want to self-insure. I looked in it, I spent many hours. Don't do it.
Thank you, Jim. Thank you, Dominic. Is there anybody else? If you're going to talk, you got to come up to the thing. It's okay, it's fine. Just come up to the podium. Oh, okay, then we can hand her the mic. We can hand you the mic. Well, let's go ahead. Go ahead, Judy. Go first.
Just a quick follow-up question
Yes.
on the budget. I know originally it was built in for Chris's salary and benefits
Yep.
for 4 months. It may be backed out. Would that be done prior to our new monthly maintenance being adjusted so that some of those might be coming down? And then my second question is, on the employee benefit side of things, what percentage of the monthly premiums do we pay for our employees?
Are you able to answer that, Keith, or not right now?
It's a 75-25 split.
For all employees? Administration and golf, all employees, 75-25?
Except for Chris. Chris, the manager's 100%. Manager's 100%.
But the new manager will not be 100%.
Right. That's
Okay.
going to change.
Okay, so if we do end up backing out Chris's salary, say he leaves in January, we've built it until the end of April. If we back out 3 months' worth of Chris's salary, we should also be looking at the employee benefits line item and backing out the premium for the 3 months for the 100% premium that's being
Chris will give
paid
you
for
a figure
Chris
in a
as well.
second here.
Oh, okay.
It's about 22,000.
Okay.
Yeah.
So I just wanted to ask
Which is
about.
about $4 on the maintenance.
Okay. Well,
Correct.
$4 is $4, times 12, times however many years, I think that's where we want to make sure that squeeze every penny out of every nickel kind of thing I just heard recently. Those are the types of things that I'm hoping, and I know you guys spend countless hours. Unfortunately, we're not here during the summer to be able to attend the budget meetings, and they're not televised, so I just try to ask questions after the fact, I guess.
The budget committee and the finance committee and the board work on this very hard to get it out there. So just so everybody knows.
Yeah, I'm sure.
Just to read one other thing there, on September 1st, the first notice went out, all the budget meetings, October 18th, October 19th, so everybody's aware of when the budget meetings are, regardless of what anybody says. Some people are working, we know that. But from this judgment here, I don't think too many people are working. Out of 2 people, out of all these people, that's amazing. But everybody knows about these budget meetings way ahead of time.
Bergie Martin, 23A. I have a question regarding why doesn't Peggy just refund the 9,000 and change and then have it done?
Can't hear you.
I mean, what is the solution then? You vote having a referendum and voting them out of office? Who's going to run?
It's a good question. Who's going to run? You're absolutely right, especially with what's going on now. mean,
I
who's gonna wanna
appreciate
run?
everything that Peggy has done for the community and landscaping. I wouldn't have done the job, and you couldn't have paid me more. You could have paid me more than $11,000.
One of the things is this job would have had to be done anyway. We would have had to pay for it. The problem is a board member got paid for it. The money would have went out either way. So just so everybody knows that.
Can it just be returned?
Oh, I'm sorry, what was that?
You can't return.
Can't hear you.
Not that that's an excuse, but I'm just saying that we would have put the money out.
Our volunteers would have helped, one or the other.
Hi, my name is Anna, and I'm from Building 1, and I'd like to say that I'm very disappointed in the HOA fees, only due to because I've only been here 1 month, and I bought, I think, the highest out of everyone here, and I have a beautiful apartment which was renovated, plus I paid for the painting, and I'm very disappointed that the first day that I was there, the next morning I woke up, I had droppings of termites all over my white comforter. And
What building are you in?
Building 1.
Building 1, okay.
And I reported it to the office, and all I was told was I have to wait online. So I had to wait a week and a half before they even could get me an appointment. Yesterday they came and all they did was fogging, which I was told from 4 different inspectors that there was an infestation and the prior owner had done the same thing. And it was not disclosed to me that there was termites there. I am so sorry I even bought this place. I love all the people here, I just want you to know. But I can't even sleep at night. I still have a tarp on my ceiling. We're exposed to chemicals. My son has been sick for 2 weeks, and I've been sick. I have heart condition, I have all kinds of problems. And I'd like to say that they told me now that I'm not even on the list for the, what is that called?
Tenting?
After the fire?
Tenting?
The tenting, which I am very disappointed. How can I pay all this money? I was paying in New York $900 a month, and I had my own garage, I had everything, I had gated community, I had everything. And now I have to pay $902, and I'm living with a tarp on my ceiling after paying $4,000 for a paint job. My apartment is brand new, I have brand new furniture. I have nothing here from New York. I had to buy everything new. And I'm very, very upset, and I'm very hurt. And I really don't know at this point, because now if I even want to sell it, I would have to list it for $900 a month HOA. Nobody's even going to want to buy it. So at this point, I want the fumigation done, because if it's not done, then who's going to be responsible for the stuff inside my apartment? Who will be responsible for that?
Okay. Is that on the list, Chris?
No, it's not on the list. Their building got fumigated yesterday.
Not fumigated, it was fogged.
It was fogged, that's correct, and that is from Corey from Above and
Yeah, and I
Beyond.
was told it's just a Band-Aid. It's just a Band-Aid.
Corey will be here in 25 minutes, you can ask him.
And Corey told me it has to be tented.
No, Corey told me, as the manager, that the next step should be fumigating the attics.
Right, so who's gonna be responsible when I take the tarp off and I get more stuff on my blanket? Because I already see it through the plastic.
Okay, so also, you can see termite droppings for up to a year. Does not mean there are actual live termites.
All right, I'll get other inspectors to come and look.
You should have done that before you bought the unit.
I did get an inspector.
But they didn't find the termites.
Well, of course, the inspector he said he didn't see any, but the day after, the pictures from the inspectors that came, I have the photos, and I sent them to the office in the email showing the infestation. It's an infestation. It's just not termites, it's an infestation, okay?
One of the things is we're not termite experts. We depend on these people to come in and tell us what to do, okay? If he says it
But
needs
what
to be-
happens if you have 4 more inspectors, they tell you other? Then what?
How many companies can we go out to?
What I'm saying is...
we roll from one company to another. Half these companies don't even show up anymore.
I understand, but what I'm trying to say is if I have to pay $900 a month, the building maintenance should be done as everyone else's is done also. And then who's going to be responsible for everything in my apartment? I paid that. And I also paid more than everybody here for my apartment. Did anybody here pay $200,000 for their apartment? No.
No, probably
I
not.
did. And I'm sorry that I did. I love all you people that I met here. And I'm very hurt about it. And Pam was very, very nice to me. I wanted to say that too.
When Corey's going to have to answer that question, we can't answer it.
Well, Corey's going to be responsible because he's going to have to sign a paper with me, and he's going to sign it, and it's going to say that it's going to be guaranteed.
They welcome to...
Which he won't do.
Which he's not going to do.
Go ahead.
Hi. Board members, we voted for you, we trusted you. Peg? Hello? We trusted you. We voted for you. We found out about this by dumb luck, and I'm thinking, what other things have been paid for that we don't know about it? I understand there's a lot of volunteer work being done. It's volunteer. That means you do not get paid. I said before at the last meeting, money is the root of all evil. The love of it is the sin. So, do the right thing. It was a mistake, I get it. Do the moral thing in your good conscience. That's it.
Thank you, Red.
Mic drop. And we'll do an audit, I believe, right?
It's audited every year.
Oh, her son's an auditor, so.
They audit, we are audited every single year, every year.
Every year?
Yeah.
And Bob, I want to ask you, if we would go to the budget meeting, which Chris said it would be boring, and I can deal with boring. If we would go, would we have any say in this, like, office supplies, $7,500?
Yes, you have, any time they go through, I've been doing it for 12 years on that thing. And correct me if I'm wrong, Jim, Jim is the expert on this. They go through every line.
Yeah.
They say, okay, is there any questions on that line? And if
Okay.
nobody has a question, they go to the next one.
So
If
we
you have
had-
an idea to say, wait a minute, maybe you can do this.
Ah.
But it can't be done because of this, okay?
So we as
Possibly.
homeowners would have a say.
Correct, you have a say in it, I'm not saying it would, you know,
Yeah.
you would say it could be changed.
Right.
You know, somebody could overlook something. These guys aren't, I'm not on the salary or the finance committee or the budget committee, but I do attend them, and they
Yeah.
go through every line like that. And if you
Okay.
have an idea to say, hey, geez, let's cut this, but you can't cut that because of this. But your input is taken.
I mean, there's been stuff that's been cut over the years to rob Peter to pay Paul.
Right.
It catches up with you the next year.
Yeah, like plants
Okay.
and trees, you know. I understand it's maybe $50 here, Dues and subscriptions, what dues and subscriptions do we have?
Let's see, what do we have?
What is
Newsweek,
that? I'm wondering, is it magazines or, you know?
Actually, I can answer that. There is a magazine, it's a condo magazine that we get, and board members, I only speak for myself. As a board member, I read that magazine because it gives me a better understanding of what theoretically my job is. And that's subscription. Dues, we are required to pay for the certifications for Chris and for Sid in order to maintain our status.
So that's licenses and permits?
Yeah.
So that's 2,000 for that, and then the
Now,
the
license
dues.
and permits is for the pool and for our docks on the river.
Okay, and call them all. What is call them all?
When we do a reverse phone call, that's call them all.
And that's $1,500. That's how many times do we do that?
We can do it as many times a year as we want.
Somewhat once a year?
Well,
Twice a year?
we did it at least 3 times in the last 3 months because of plumbing issues that we had to tell people that the entire water was going to be shut off.
Okay, I'm just
I mean,
thinking, is it?
Let's put out there for notification for different things, you know,
Yeah.
and it goes to everybody.
Okay, so now I know, I'll be coming to the budget meeting.
Great.
Yeah.
Maybe it'd be a good board material.
No.
Well, I'm guessing there's gonna be about 30, 40 people here.
Yeah, we need
I've
good
been
people.
Like I said, I've been on board 12 years, I'm gonna start losing my hair if I get any further.
All right, that's all I gotta say.
Thank you, Beth. I can't.
Hi,
Hang on one
my
second.
name is Gladys,
Okay.
37I. It's just a small issue, I promise.
Okay.
My daughter parked her truck over here because
Yep.
I was in Massachusetts.
Okay.
And she borrowed my car. And Chris had the truck towed, and she had to pay $200. I realized that was my mistake because I should have got a sticker for that truck.
And Gladys,
Yes.
it's not even so much a sticker. I mean, if you had to put something on the window saying it was in apartment 24G
Yeah.
or whatever you were, he would have been aware of it.
I
We have
didn't-
no idea where those
Yeah,
vehicles come
I
from. Because someone
understand
just
that.
pulled in here.
I understand that, but the way he treated my daughter was horrible. He screamed and yelled.
No, I did not.
Yes, you did too. My daughter, wait, I'm talking, okay?
That is a
I am
flat out
talking.
lie. That is a flat out lie.
Do I get the chance to talk, Chris?
You're saying a lie about me.
No, I'm not.
You are saying I did not hit your daughter.
My daughter does not lie.
Okay.
She's a hardworking nurse, and she does not lie. Now, wait a minute. That was one issue. I have a truck, a huge pickup truck, backed in, which is against the rules, in front of my building for the past 3 days. Nothing's been done about
Yes,
that.
it has. It was tagged last night and reported to the office this morning.
And it's backed in. It's not supposed to be
It's
backed
not
in, I
even supposed to
heard.
be there at all. It's going to get towed if it's there.
Oh, I
It's
see.
a pickup truck.
Okay.
Right?
Let me answer that. That was tagged this morning. I've been a little bit busy with my knee surgery.
Sorry, I didn't know that.
But I
I
did
will not
wobble over
call
there
you a
this
liar.
morning.
I will not. I'm
Wait
sorry.
a second, I'm talking. I did wobble over there this morning and put a tag on it.
Fine. I just wanted to let him know.
Yeah, it's gone. If
I rested
it's
my
there,
case.
if it's there tomorrow night, it'll be towed.
I think so.
I will not.
Thank you.
Ed.
My name's Ed Blottenberger. I'm from Building 19. I think everybody that's here has kind of know what's been going on for the last hour and a half. It's kind of exhausting for me, but I'm sure it is for you guys too.
Yes, it is.
But let's see if we can go on to something a little more productive since I've got a moment. We've been talking about $12,000 and $14,000, whatever it is. I've got more of a concern here about the $1,817,000 policies. So I just got a few questions for you guys. I noticed the November 17th meeting, so I'll definitely appear there, but I've got a few questions in preparation for that meeting. Because all the checks I've been doing with the insurance companies, even for my own unit, everything seemed to be the issue about the roofs. So my question to the board that I can prep for that meeting for is, what is our current cost that we're paying for the
roofs that are currently being done?
$52,000 a roof.
Okay, thank you. How many roofs do we have that are less than 15 years old?
That are less than 15?
I'll take the other way around, older than 15.
Older than 15 is, what do we do, 11 in 2019, and we're doing 20 this year, so 31. So 20 of the buildings are over 15 years old.
Okay. Has anyone checked to date as far as that premium of $1,817,000, what that would be when all of our roofs are less than 15 years old? Has that been quoted?
No.
No, it hasn't.
No, it has not.
Is that because we didn't ask, or they didn't offer it, or they're not willing to give it?
So citizens would not bid at all because of the roofs being over that amount.
Okay.
However, to replace all the roofs that need to be done, you're talking about spending another $2 million, which is not going to lower that price. The price that we actually got, we sent the insurance company our binder letter, because the roofs aren't even done yet, and they accepted that we were doing the work, that we had a contractor in place. So they actually gave us the better rate because they know that we are actually doing the roofs.
So we got a better premium because of the ones that we've already done?
And the ones that we are doing now.
And what would that continue on once they're all done?
Once they're, correct.
But did they get no figures on that, so you can compare the savings versus what we're paying to have the roofs done sooner?
They can't guesstimate it. It would have to wait until they are all completely done and all the roofs are reappraised. That's where they would be able to put in for the price.
Okay.
But like citizens wouldn't even bid at all.
Okay, and this gentleman is coming on the 17th, where is he from?
He is from USI. They are one of the biggest insurance agents in the whole state of Florida.
Okay.
One of the things I want, and keep your thought.
Sure.
Okay. We're insured for $30 million right now. We're supposed to be insured for $58 million. Nobody will write the difference. Okay? So your insurance, where we stand right now, would probably be almost double where it is. I'm just, almost double, okay? Just so everybody knows that. Nobody will write the other $28 million. And there's a lot of companies that are involved in this. It's not just one company that's writing these policies, just so everybody's aware of that.
And again, that 28 million difference, why is that not being, is it again the roofs, or is there no other issues?
This is the building insurance for hurricane coverage, roofs, it covers everything, okay? The 28 million, we've got $30 million will cover us. We have to get 30 buildings pretty much knocked right down in order for us not to be covered. But we're supposed to be insured for 58 million.
Okay. The other thing that we can all do collectively, I've actually sent a letter to the governor's office. I was a realtor in Hawaii for 40 years, and we also had similar hurricanes and insurance problems. In fact, all the companies pulled out, and what they instituted was that every time there's a sale of a property statewide, they'd add some to the conveyance tax when it's being sold. That got contributed to what's called a hurricane relief fund, which helped offset some of the burden of the insurance companies leaving. Now, I'm one person that sent that in. If the board, in representing this association, can collectively send that in as well, as just coming up with ideas to get out of this mess that the whole state is in, and obviously we're feeling it. So that's all I'm after, is just trying to figure out ways that we can save on that kind of money. And all I've been being told from my calls has been roof, roof, roof. And it just seems...
The roofs make a big difference.
Well, we ended up dropping our wind coverage because our building 19 is over 15 years old.
Yeah.
And so we weighed the cost of it, and it wasn't worth having it. Because you got a master policy here anyway that's going to replace most of the things that are going to be important to us anyway. So just a suggestion that just trying to be proactive rather than accepting these high budgets all the time, just maybe try to be a little bit more proactive. I know you guys are working hard at doing that, but maybe there's some things that we're not looking at.
I mean, one of the issues is too is we got buildings, I don't know, correct me if I'm wrong, Chris, 15 buildings that are 15 years old? Or 11?
20.
We have
20.
The next 11 roofs are actually from 1988.
No, but I'm talking about the ones that we've already done.
Oh, yes.
That are at 15-year mark.
Yeah.
You go by that 15-year mark, now we got to replace them again.
Right.
You know, I mean, that's the problem, and we're running into that. You know, so I mean, anything that's over 15 years old has got to be replaced, or they won't take it under consideration.
Well, they're flat, we had the same problem in Hawaii, of course, is that it's a tropical weather, you've got flat roofs, and flat roofs, you get 10 to 15 years out of them, you're lucky, in my opinion.
I mean, we got roofs in here that are over 30 years old that are still in...
No leaks. It's amazing.
No leaks, put it that way.
And thank you.
Yeah, you're very welcome, thank you. Go ahead, Kim, then.
If everyone has asked their questions, I have a list of questions and things that have already been answered. We don't need to answer, but I appreciate you answering some of the questions on the list.
I can. Let me go through it. Hang on a second.
I put it in the...
You gotta vote to be honest.
Yeah.
I honestly think that...
At 12, right?
And some of the things that we've already said, I'm not answering.
Yeah.
Other things, I'm curious.
I left him a list of questions that I didn't ask, and I'm curious of the answers, but don't answer the ones that have already been answered, just skip through them.
I'll go through
I think that as a
them.
board, we ought to be able to talk
we're gonna-
about it ourselves before we answer it in public.
Do you want to do that? Kim, do you have a problem? We want to get together as a board. Kim, we're going to get together as a board. We'll answer this at the next meeting. Okay, I believe that, I mean, we've got another meeting at 12 o'clock with Chris and myself, and I think we're going to, I mean, is there anything that's really important right now?
I got really important things to say.
Okay, go ahead.
I just want to say this. I know you're all going to go home and you're going to write up your resumes so that you can be part of this board. For people to malign you, to stand up and scream at you, I just don't like what's happened to our community. When I got here, we were all together. Now we're all fighting on each other. I don't like that. But I wanted to say thank you guys for the work that you do for us, because we appreciate it. We really do.
Thank you very much.
Vicki, one thing. Vicki, can you please repeat that, what you said? Can you please repeat that?
You mean about everybody go home and get your resumes ready? I know I'm going to, not.
No, about the board doing a good job. Yes.
Well, you do a good job.
All right, I thought that's what you said. I just want to make these...
I went to your budget meeting. I thought, I can't handle this. I'm not coming back. But anyway, I thank you all for the work that you do for us.
Thank you very much, Vicki.
You just take those words right out of my mouth, my head. Thank you, everybody. This place has never looked so good. I want to thank Diane, Peggy, Pam, Ron. Hey, Chris, you too.
All right, Chris.
Keith, Bob, and Chuck.
Thank you.
It's always been a wonderful place to be, and I hate seeing what's going on here. It's disgraceful. So everybody, come on, let's pull together like what we were before. Okay. And I have an answer to you. I come from a community in New York.
Motion to adjourn.
I second it. I delivered the budgets myself. They were never mailed because it saves a lot of money. And that's what it's about. I'm not going to argue with you. You don't need to yell at me.
Meeting is adjourned.
Is it the law?
I don't want to be yelled at, so that's it.
Thank you, Pat.
Thank you, Pat.
Thank you, everyone.
Get your evacuated.
So everybody can go and